presenti autorità, membri del corpo diplomatico. Un saluto ai pellegrini venuti in occasione del Giubileo dei Confraternite.
Dear brother cardinals, brother bishops and priests, distinguished authorities and members of the diplomatic corps, brothers and sisters, I greet all of you with a heart full of gratitude. At the beginning of the ministry that has been entrusted to me, St. Augustine wrote, "Lord, you have made us for yourself, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." In these days, we have experienced intense emotions. The death of Pope Francis filled our hearts with sadness.
E in quelle ore difficili ci siamo sentiti come quelle folle di cui il Vangelo dice.
In those difficult hours, we felt like the crowds that the Gospel says were like sheep without a shepherd. Yet on Easter Sunday, we received his final blessing. And in the light of the resurrection, we experienced the days that followed in the certainty that the Lord never abandons his people, but gathers them when they are scattered and guards them as a shepherd guards his flock.
Il collegio dei cardinali si è riunito per il conclave, arrivando da storie e strade diverse.
In this spirit of faith, the College of Cardinals met for the conclave. Coming from different backgrounds and experiences, we placed in God's hands our desire to elect the new successor of Peter, the Bishop of Rome, a shepherd capable of preserving the rich heritage of the Christian faith and, at the same time, looking to the future in order to confront the questions, concerns, and challenges of today's world. Accompanied by your prayers, we could feel the working of the Holy Spirit, who was able to communicate, to bring us into harmony like musical instruments, so that our heartstrings could vibrate in a single melody. I was chosen without any merit of my own, and now, with fear and trembling, I come to you as a brother who desires to be the servant of your faith and your joy.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's fine and well. We're basically going to talk about the inauguration and the first mass delivered by the Pope today. And then later on, we're going to discuss what's happening with Ukraine and Russia, and then Gaza and Israel, and the negotiation in regards to that. So that's the whole plan for today. So just bear with us. So I'm going to play back the actual screen.
It is up to them to carry on this mission, to cast their nets again and again, to bring the hope of the gospel into the waters of the world, to sail the seas of life, so that all may experience God's embrace.
Come può Pietro portare avanti questo compito? Il Vangelo ci dice che è possibile.
How can Peter carry out this task? The Gospel tells us that it is possible only because his own life was touched by the infinite and unconditional love of God, even in the hour of his failure and denial.
Per questo, quando è Gesù a rivolgersi a Pietro, il Vangelo usa il verbo greco agapao.
For this reason, when Jesus addresses Peter, the Gospel uses the Greek verb agapao, which refers to the love that God has for us, to the offering of himself without reserve and without calculation. Whereas the verb used in Peter's response describes the love of friendship that we have for one another. Consequently, when Jesus asks Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He is referring to the love of the Father. It is as if Jesus said to him, only if you have known and experienced this love of God, which never fails, will you be able to feed my lambs. Only in the love of God, the Father, will you be able to love your brothers and sisters with that same more, that is, by offering your life for your brothers and sisters.
Peter is thus entrusted with the task of loving more and giving his life for the flock. The ministry of Peter is distinguished precisely for. Instead, it is always a stone that must to be.
Al contrario, a lui è richiesto di servire la fede dei fratelli.
On the contrary, he is communions and heart.
If this our time, we still see too much discord, too many wounds caused by hatred, violence, prejudice, the fear of difference, and an economic paradigm that exploits the earth's resources and marginalizes the poorest. For our part, we want to be a small leaven of unity, communion, and fraternity within the world. We want to say to the world with humility and joy, look to Christ, come closer to him, welcome his word and that enlightens and consoles. Listen to his offer of love and become his one family. In the one Christ, we are one.
E questa è la strada da fare insieme, tra di noi, ma anche con le chiese cristiane.
This is the path to follow together among ourselves, but also with our sister Christian churches, with those who follow other religious paths, with those who are searching for God, with all women and men of goodwill, in order to build a new world where peace reigns.
Questo è lo spirito missionario che deve animarci, senza chiuderci nel nostro piccolo gruppo, né sentirci superiori al mondo.
This is the missionary spirit that must animate us, not closing ourselves off in our small groups, nor feeling superior to the world. We are called to offer God's love to everyone in order to achieve that unity which does not cancel out differences, but values the personal history of each person and the social and religious culture of every people. Brothers and sisters, this is the hour for love. The heart of the gospel is the love of God that makes us brothers and sisters. With my predecessor, Leo XIII, we can ask ourselves today, if this criterion were to prevail in the world, would not every conflict cease and peace return? With the light and the strength of the Holy Spirit, let us build a church founded on God's love. To the world, to any other, ahead of the creed and his immediate predecessor.
So that's the gist of it. What we basically saw was him delivering his inauguration speech and the first Mass of the Pontiff. And he's emphasizing on peace and collaboration of all religious people, which is something very, very new. He had the dominions of the Copts and the Orthodox invited there as well, and also some world leaders. And one of the people he met over there was Zelensky. So that's something very interesting. And with that, I'll go to Maham. What's her opinions on regards to that, and how does she see the change in regards to influence this Pope might have, and how is he different from the previous one? Go ahead.
I think the last pope was a very liberal guy in many ways, and he was also a very good man, honestly. But I don't think he didn't really have that much of an influence, so I don't think this pope is going to affect much of the politics, especially him being American. As far as I've heard, that he's also conservative. I don't know how this is going to affect in a long run, because I mean, fine, he's the pope, but usually, I mean, most of the politicians don't really care, because Pope Francis has been asking for peace in Palestine for as long as it was happening, but nobody really batted an eye. So I don't think he really holds any such position which can affect world politics. But I think the one thing that I'm seeing in the West these days is that everything is going very conservative. Like US took a turn, and then England gave the law that only biological women are women, and they're going toward conservative side. And in Europe, we've also seen AFD and other parties picking up, and people are going towards the conservative side. And now we have a conservative pope. So I think the only thing I see in all this is that the West is going back and becoming conservative again.
I think there's another angle to him being American, because Christianity and evangelical Christianity specifically in the US has a lot of influence on the presidents, and Catholics have traditionally had less influence on the American politics. But now that the actual Pope is American, I think that there is something in terms of influence specifically
You're Latin
in
American.
Yeah, but from the continent. So from the continent. So
I don't think America sees the rest of the continent of America as America.
No, but obviously there's a huge Hispanic community, Mexican community, Brazilian community, and all these countries and these communities within the US happen to be Catholics traditionally. So if something like that is going to be right in the middle of that situation, I think that it puts Catholicism and the Vatican in a potentially more powerful, influential place than it had been previously. That's just my opinion on that, but time will tell. Aditya?
So from what I learned about the Pope is that the Pope who just passed away, he was a very liberal and left-leaning Pope. His views about the conflict in Gaza, or about the conflict in Ukraine, and his vocal support for the upliftment of the African continent, and making the contribution and trying to bring people together, was exceptional. He was one of a kind. I am not saying the other popes never spoke about, like, global issues. They always did. But he was an exception when it came to, like, his vocal support of all these, like, issues of the global problems. Even the current pope, from what I read and learned, is that he is trying to bring both the sides together. So he's picking ideas from some of the ideas from the conservative side, but he also have many liberal views when it comes to, like, his politics, because let's be honest, all global figures are somewhat political, and they do make political statements, even if you try to say that the Pope is non-political, but he always has been throughout the history. It's just that they don't uh, garner that much support or that much power that which they used to garner in the history, right? So the current Pope, his statement very clearly, he said that he wants to bring all the, like, political sides together on somewhat like mutual understood cause. His statements in the like in the 2020 was, he supported the, like, investigation, and he stood up for, like, investigation of the George Floyd case. He has spoken very positively about that movement. He also has opposed JD Vance when he spoke about, like, stopping the immigrants who were trying to illegally enter America. He said that all these humans are equal, and we should treat them equally. Nobody is above you, nobody is below you. And he also has many, like, views where he speaks about resolving the conflict in Ukraine, but he's not as open about his support or unconditional support of issues, like when it comes to Ukraine. He wants to help broker a deal, in the sense that he wants to bring both the sides together and bring them on a table
And
and solve the
that's
problem.
something very, very interesting, Aditya, because Pope, the current Pope, who's been inaugurated today, if you look at his statement about Ukraine, it's very interesting because he referred to them as a martyred nation. He went and held his first official meeting with a world leader, with Zelensky. So I think he's clearly taking a side. He did not have many good words to say about Russia. So
But he
that's
also said that
very
he wants to bring those people on a table. Zelensky was invited to his inauguration. He was there with his wife, and he wanted to help them broker deals in some ways. So he hasn't yet spoken about. I could be wrong, but he hasn't, like, vocally very strongly supported what is happening in Gaza. But he's not somebody who's, like, totally against, um, or you can say it, a very conservative view, but he's trying to bring people together. So he's according to, he's more of a centrist kind of personality, and
so
he's 69 years old.
the
Let's see,
the,
like,
the
yeah.
previous Pope, his statement was very contrasting when it came to the Ukraine and the Russia conflict, and it was that Zelensky and Ukraine should have the courage to hoist the white flag. So they were asking for that ceasefire on Trump's grounds. So this Pope has referred to them as martyred. I keep forgetting his name. It's new because
Pope
I
Leo the 14th.
Leo.
Yeah.
Pope Leo the 14th. So I think on top of that, he's basically asked majority of the Christians to get together. In particular, he emphasized on the Catholics to get together and garner influence to bring back global peace. So I think that revival of Christianity, which has kind of kickstarted in the West in recent times, in the last 3 or 4 years,
Can I say something here?
Catholicism also wants a piece of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there, I mean, it is, you can say, kind of a conspiracy, but do you think it has some connection to the Project 2025?
How?
I think Project 2025 is
project.
more of a Trumpian idea, and he's not a very big
No,
Trumpian
he's
guy.
not exactly a Trumpian ideas, but he's supported by those people, like the people who made those whole thing. But my point is that do you think this has something to do with that Project 2025, where they're trying to bring these Christian values back, and now you have a Pope
That
saying
a
that we
Pope will
should bring those
always say,
values back?
like, he's the
I think
Pope.
I think it's more like them trying to bring it back. Yeah, they are, the West as a whole is going for Christian values, but it's not that he's been selected to do that. Or obviously, he's part of the one of the Christian dominions, one of the largest ones around the globe. So I'm sure they would also want it revived. And if you look at
Also keeping in mind that he's an American Pope.
yeah, and
And
traditionally,
Catholics are
2025
not
is an
that
American
strong. Like they are in smaller number compared to the evangelists. So it will also help revive the Catholicism
exactly.
in the Americas.
And
so yeah.
And traditionally, Catholics in greater numbers happen to be in Latin America, but Latin communities within the U.S. I've have been very known to be very conservative and traditionalists. So I think there's a chance that they would also want to bring those values back over there, and people are looking to go back to certain roots. So Catholicism has a chance. Maybe that's part of an opportunity which he's trying to seek.
Yeah, he's American citizen, and he also in his younger days he used to work in South America, in Peru. He is also a dual citizen. He has a citizenship of Peru, and he used to work there as, like, he was probably sending or conveying the message of Christ, from what I read. So he has worked on the ground, and he's American citizen. So I believe, like, the Catholics, from my understanding, from a very basic understanding, wants to, like, create this revival, or like you said, of the Catholic school of Christianity, especially in the North American region, where they know that the Christianity of America holds a lot of power, and if they create a lot of influence there, it can help them grow their ideas or spread the message around the globe. So it could be also be a better understood idea and reason why that he's the first pope who has been selected, or in the way that the Catholics believe, selected by the God itself, because like the understanding is that Pope on earth is a direct messenger of the, or can say he's the directly connected to the God, representative in a way.
Representative of the God.
Yeah.
We also need to cover two other quick topics, I believe. I think that's enough for this topic.
Yeah, I think we need to move to Gaza and Israel, and we'll get there. Now, in terms of Israel, I think Maham brought that into things. So there's a siege in Israel. Let's just have a basic
in Gaza by Israel.
Yeah.
So the last Israeli American. Can you hear me? Because there's no light, so my Wi-Fi is acting weird. Hello.
It's good.
Yeah.
You can hear me,
It's
right? Fine. Yeah. So what happened is that the last American Israeli hostage was released because Trump promised Hamas that we're going to get into ceasefire talks again. But instead, what happened was that the moment freed, Israel actually started ground incursion, and it's like kind of the worst nights in Gaza. 200 people died at night, and then around 80 people died in the morning. So it's almost like the ending. Like it's about. I don't think Netanyahu cares about the hostages anymore. He just want Hamas to. He just want to finish Palestinians, and there is also this discussion about shifting 1 million Palestinians or those living in Gaza to Libya. And I think the Palestinians are not in favor. They don't want to leave, but that's what's happening on the Israeli and Gaza front.
Well, as far as I see, they've been talking about that for a long time, and when the Syrian Assad regime ended, they started conversing about that there and then. But I don't see that happening, how they can possibly move them. They've completely destroyed them. And then originally, when Trump came into power, he did that whole speech where he basically stated that he wants to turn that into a prime real estate marina. But I think this is not going to resolve anything. The ceasefire was apparently there. It seems to me that Trump administration, when they were making those remarks that they're going to have a ceasefire or generate one instantly in a few days, both in Russia as well as in Gaza, he's completely failed in those regards. What's your opinion on that?
So this far-right politician from Israel, Itamar Ben Gvir. So he went to US recently. He was attacked by many protesters as well. But what happened was that, according to TRT, he was very rude to the Trump staff, and they didn't have a plan what they're going to do with Iran and what they're going to do with Gaza. And apparently Trump are really annoyed with Netanyahu for not actually preparing anything and actually asking for everything already prepared for them by the CIA or US. So Trump going to the Middle East and entirely skipping Israel this time kind of says a lot as well. Also, remembering the fact that Saudi has been given a green signal for their nuclear program, even though back in Biden's time, the condition for that was that they have to fix their relationship with Israel. But Donald Trump instead went and canceled that condition and gave them a green light. So I don't know what's happening between Donald Trump and Netanyahu's regime, but well, like the Indians say, something's cooking.
So my understanding is that Donald Trump likes to play carrot and the stick game. So he tried to be nice with Netanyahu, and he wanted to negotiate a peace deal. Let's be honest, Donald Trump genuinely believes that he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. It's not because he cares about the Gazans or the Palestinians or the Israelis. He just wants to be seen as somebody who's a very special human being sent by the God, and he can do no wrong, and he's somebody who can broker a trade deal. Who likes to who gets things done. And he actually genuinely, I believe, he wanted to get a deal done in Ukraine with the issue of Russia, and he wanted a deal in Israel. It doesn't matter what kind of deal it was, and I believe
that's
that
how he ran his campaign. He was always talking about how our soldiers are out in wars that we didn't need, and so we need
and always it wouldn't have happened under my presidency, and it wouldn't have happened. So he's always that way. It's not because he's kind of anti-war. It's not that. it's not that complicated. He genuinely believes that, he wants to show the world that, what all things he can get done. Even when you say his statements regarding Pakistan, he's saying that, Pakistan makes all these amazing stuff that they can export to America. Let's be honest. We know that, he's just saying that because he wants a
He
favorable.
said, "Footballs, don't judge us."
So he's saying all that because he knows that, if he plays this card, he can better negotiate with Narendra Modi in a trade deal with India, because he believes that, he's getting a worse possible outcome of this trade deal with India. So he'll play those cards too, just because he can, not because he cares or doesn't care about Modi. He doesn't care about anybody, I believe. He just wants to look good and better than everybody else and superior than everyone else, and somebody who can get things done. So that's all it is, I believe. It's not that deep.
There's something very interesting which the Trump administration is facing domestically these days. That's their immigration policy. Again, I think what Trump has done with India and Pakistan ceasefire, as well as with his entire 4-day Middle East trip, is to basically tell the world he can get things done, and he's kind of shoved everything else under the carpet. On the other hand, if you look at the Chinese delivered some aid into Gaza, I think, just in the last 3 or 4 days. So
Some people are saying it's fake. Some people are saying it's fake. Didn't happen.
No, but the Chinese administration basically accepted that.
Oh, okay.
They came out with a statement. So when the Chinese are basically making that statement and the visuals are there, then that cannot really be denied. So it's a huge marker that China is now kind of directly involved in Gaza, and I think Trump, on the back of his mind, has this thing going on that whether it's the Middle East or it's Israel, which is also part of Middle East, or South Asia, is China slowly but surely creating a very strong hegemony. So that's something to ponder upon, in my opinion.
I think it's possible for Palestinian to be. Sorry.
Guys, anyone watching this?
Do you think it's possible for Palestinian to be shifted to Libya?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. That's
why not?
Because saying that would aggravate a lot of people, but doing that would be nothing short of exodus. Just if that was basically carried out by the Western world, the UK,
if it can save lives, if it can save lives, if it can save lives, why not? It's just a piece of land.
I'm sure that's not how the Palestinians view it. Otherwise, there's so many other conflicts around the globe. We can say that to the Kashmiri pundits as well. But when we've been speaking to Neeraj Singh Dogra, he's very hell-bent that they need to be reallocated. But they want to come back.
Yeah, but they did do the exodus, right? When they realized that their lives were in trouble, they shifted away.
So the Jewish went away from the Jews went away from Palestine as well, but then they returned. So
why don't they just go back, make some bombs and a nice army, and they can return them? Right now, it's not in their favor.
I don't think it's as simple as that, but I don't think they're going to leave. But That's just my opinion, and I don't think it's a possibility.
I
If they
think,
have,
like, you know what, Shaji, let me also put the last statement that I made about Trump in the context of Gaza also. So he made such an absurd statement about Gazans just to create enough leverage for him to have a peace talk with the Gazans and the Israelis, where they both look desperate to hold on to any kind of deal which could be just a little better than the absurd statements that he have made, and he would come out as the winner of the trade, or sorry, of the conflict. And also he would be able to, like, give a candy to both the sides in a way that, I gave you more than what I even promised you that I am going to give you. You get my point? And he looks like a winner and a peace broker.
yeah,
That's why
Aditya,
he
why do you,
gave their statements about, like, converting the
Aditya,
entire Gazan
why,
to
Aditya,
hotel resorts.
Aditya, why do you hate Trump so much? Is it because of the ceasefire? Because he took
No,
credit for
I'm
a
actually a
ceasefire.
Donald Trump fan. Let's be honest. Like, I'm a Trumpian guy. I love Trump. I think he's the most entertaining person on internet. And like 4 years before, under the presidency of Joe Biden, was so boring. Even like the TRPs of the most mainstream TV channels, like, went down at least 80%. So he's entertaining, he's fun, he's wicked, and he's always part of the, he's always in the middle of controversies. Just last week, like, the things that a country can't imagine that their country or their presidents will do in 100 years, he's just doing it every week. Like, can you imagine? The Qatari government offered him a $400 million plane, and he kind of accepted it. And he was trying to justify it, that, why he needs it and why should he keep it. Like, even after his presidency ends, he was like, I'll keep it. Uh, I'll use it
It's a
for
good
my official use for 4 years, and then I can just keep it, right? They are giving me because they're good people. And he also believes that, his voter base will also accept it, that a $400 million plane can just be a, gift and a goodwill gesture.
I mean, it
and
can
and
be
I'm surprised.
if it's the royal families of the Middle East.
Maybe if you also want to buy that Kool-Aid, I'm fine.
In Donald Trump words, it was a good trip. We're going to have some good deals, and those good deals are going to give us business. And that's it.
Yeah,
It was more like a business
and
trip.
we should look at him like complaining
this
about.
would have basically worked better if you would have painted your face orange at the same time while doing this impression.
Just look, and he look at him complaining. The Air Force One are so old; they are 40 years old, and why he's so frustrated. He's like, when my friends will come visit me, they have newer planes, and like, I'm the president of United States of America, and I am flying on a 40-year-old plane. And it's about his ego again. Like, how
Donald
can.
Trump, Aditya, Donald Trump has a history of going bankrupt again and again and again. I think it's about time he takes the whole America down and, bankrupt it. I think Moody also lowered the credit standard of America. But I think it doesn't really affect them because they print dollars, and
Yeah,
dollar
they
is
print dollars, doesn't they don't care. And also they, like, I don't know if recently they have been downgraded, but still they would be the highest rated lenders
No,
in
they
human
lost
history.
their they lost their triple A rating, so they're not the highest rated at this moment in time.
But they always
That's
were,
what
like, it's said that, in the last 270 years of their existence, United States of America has never defaulted on their payments till date.
So this is an interesting one. Recession is due anyway. Doesn't matter if Trump is the president or not. I don't know if it.
he said Shaji. Trump is a president or Shaji. Recession will happen anyway.
Okay, I'm told what the hell, man. But you had to read that. I ignored that part myself. But anyhow, the point is, recessions are not basically scheduled, like many conspiracy theorists believe. They happen because of mistakes. Bubbles burst, markets reset, new players come in, new sectors emerge. But yeah, it is indicated that a recession is around the corner.
I believe even Donald Trump wants a short and sweet and beautiful recession, the only ones that he can bring to the world, and you should be thankful for it. And it will be a wonderful, exemplary, wonderful recession that Donald Trump wants to give to the world. And there is a rationale behind it. Like, recessions usually bring down the inflation rates. They also bring down the borrowing rate, which America desperately needs at this time. Their borrowing rates are very high. So if you issue bonds today in an inflationary environment, and if those bonds like mature in 25, 30 years, and you lock in those bonds in an inflationary period like today, when the inflation in America is still above 3-4%, 4%, 2%, and their interest rates are above 3-4-5%. So if you borrow money in inflationary times, just like if you buy a car with interest rate of 20% today, and if you have to pay it over 20 years, it will be more expensive if you buy it at half the interest rate, right? So the bond rates are running very high, the inflation is very high, and quick, and even the fuel prices or your crude oil prices was until recently quite high. So a recession will bring all these commodities and crude oil and these interest rates, everything down. So his idea is a short recession won't hurt anybody, and it will be a net positive for the United States of America and, according to him, to the world. So I don't know how true it is. I'm not an economist, but that's his rationale behind it.
No, so are you saying that he is like purposely trying to bring a recession?
Nobody knows that, but if he has to justify it, he can do it. That's my point.
No, but the point over here is, if he does bring a recession, it's obviously going to tarnish and overshadow at least most of his presidency. So
The point is he can justify it either ways. If you don't see a
I would
recession,
like to see that.
he'll take
I would like
credit for avoiding the recession. If there is a recession in America, he'll also take credit for that, and he'll call it a achievement. So it doesn't matter, what happens. He'll take credit for both and call it a masterstroke.
But then there's
Masterstroke, the favorite words
He
of India, word of
he's
Indians.
he's the credit GB of Globe. So he's a global credit GB,
but there's
unlike
something
our local
very
one.
interesting when you say that, if that's what he's trying to do, or that's something he's trying to garner, you have to understand most people of United States, they vote presidents in for economy. That's what they vote
Yeah, so a
president
short
for.
recession, according to him, will be a net positive. Like it will bring down the inflation. And what was the biggest issue
When the
in his
pockets
last election campaign?
and when the
The biggest
pockets
issue
begin
was
to shrink,
inflation.
people will complain. Already, because of his immigration policy, people have started to
No,
complain.
but he'll say that it will be a quick
Also
and
because of
brief
the
and very
tariffs.
short one.
Because of the tariffs, people are paying a
No, but he can
lot of
call
money
it a
for
very
the
quick
tariffs.
one and a sweet and short and happy recession. It will help everybody out, and it will be the best recession that America ever had. The best. No president before him could have brought it like the way he did. Bring
Mm.
this recession. So there that
I don't
is.
think he. I don't think he realizes that he's bringing recession. I think it's just happening.
It's happening, but he has answers to all the questions that you might have. So that is the point.
Yeah,
His
but
his
yes,
his voters don't
that's
care.
only Aditya. From my experience, in terms of what I've witnessed, that only works till it's far away. It doesn't work when it begins to affect the local people.
but it might not affect the people as much, to be very honest with you. So the unemployment rate in America is at all-time low. Even before he became the president, the unemployment rate in America was, I believe, below 3 or 4%, right? Which is historical lows unemployment rates. Even with, like, these uncontrolled migrations, there are people who want people to, like, employ people, but they don't have enough people in America for those jobs. So a quick small recession might actually, like, it might create some unemployment, but some unemployment also creates, like, more job opportunities, and it also brings
Yeah,
down inflation.
Nebraska. Nebraska
Yeah,
is on the verge
it
of
destroys a little demand, right?
bankruptcy because all of
And
the
doesn't
illegal
matter.
used to work there in farms, and now they're all
They
gone.
still
So
do, and
Nebraska.
they'll keep on working. Those people are
No.
never leaving.
Most of them are gone. Most of them are gone. That's why he's going.
So
Nebraska is
remember
going
when
bankrupt.
Trump said that, he'll send away all those illegal immigrants back, even the Indian ones. So around 500 to 600,000 Indians entered America legally in the last 4 years. And from what I recall, last there was probably one or two planes that he sent back to India. How many people that could have been? 500,000, 2,000 people. So it's more of a, like, posturing thing, or trying to tell people that stop illegally entering India. And he, on the same interview, he also said that, he wants more and more legal immigrants in America. And he said America wants a lot more people coming to America, but legally. So even he
But the
knows
legal
that.
people, Aditya, the legal ones won't work in their farm for the wages they used to pay because they were too less. Like it was
So
way
that's
below
that's
the
uh,
normal rate.
that's the issue with the right wing politics, that, it's not that deep. Their
Aditya,
statements,
I want to
when
tell
they
you a
call it
story of
a.
an Indian man. Aditya, I want to tell you a story of an Indian. There was an Indian man. He sold some property and wanted to go to US illegally. So he went through South America, and then it took him like good 3 months to get to the border, and then he was caught on the border of US and he was sent back to India. I just
All
feel bad
right.
for the guy. I
What's
just feel
what's
bad for
what's
the
his,
guy.
That's case with many
what
a
was
people.
his
It's not
name?
very singular guy.
I don't remember his name. I read it somewhere on social media that the poor guy was complaining that I sold my property. I went on a 3 months going through all this whole South America, and then on the border I was caught and sent back.
That's the case with a lot of people. That if you don't have, like,
It's a
proper
very common
channels,
story of a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
So
just
I
feel bad
think
for his bad luck. Like he went for 3 months and then he was just caught at the border and sent back.
so. I think this is it for today. And yeah, do you have any final words, Aditya?
Oh, we forgot about Ukraine. So
No,
Marco
we
Rubio.
spoke about Ukraine.
I just want to add one thing. Marco Rubio
Yeah, yeah.
refused to meet Russian delegate for the ceasefire discussion because he was below his position, and he just said no, I'm not going there. And then I don't know if they were delayed or something, but that's the situation with Ukraine and Russia thing. I don't
Interesting.
think American.
I
I don't think American government is interested in any ceasefire with Ukraine and Russia. Donald Trump has always been a little friendly with Putin, and the Americans don't really like that.
I think he wants Putin to keep the parts which he's invaded of Ukraine, so that gives him a license to do the same elsewhere around the globe, because it
Like
would
Iceland,
set up precedents. Yeah, Greenland,
Greenland, and Canada.
Greenland, Canada, other places. So I think in those regards there's something there, but we tried a new light kind of a version of a program today, and I think we'll do it every Sunday where we're going to discuss 5 or 6 stories which have occurred and just give opinions upon that. Half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever. So with that, we'll just go for a close. Go ahead.
yeah, I guess today we'll just go for applause. Other than that, please follow our channel. It's Caribbean or Caribbean Narratives on YouTube. And we will see you next time. Till then, have a good day, good evening, and good night.